The distributive property. You're watching this video with Ms. Cavazos. So what you're going to learn today is how to solve equations using or applying the distributive property. So distributive, what does that mean? There are three scenarios here, if you look carefully. This first one has an ice cream cone, and it's going inside of parentheses, and the result, each boy and girl gets an ice cream cone. This example here, there's a heart, and it's being shared. That is called distributing when it goes to the star, but it also goes with the smiley face. But look here, this minus sign is still there. The next one is, take a guess. What do you think is going to happen if we have 3 there and there? Okay. So what should go through your head is, okay, well, that means 3 orders of these 2 items. Well, if there's already 2 tacos in this item, in this choice here, you're doing 3 orders of those. What you're doing is 3 times 2. And 3 times 2 is 6, so that'll be 6 tacos. Here we only have 1 drink, so I'm going to put a 1 there. So if we triple this order, that means we're going to have 3 times 1, or in other words, 3 drinks. So the distributive property allows us to bring a number from the outside of the parentheses and multiplying it to every term that is inside of the parentheses, which is kind of what happened with this scenario of the tacos and the soda. We're bringing in a number from the outside of the parentheses. You're going to multiply it to the terms that are inside. So let's go ahead and practice a little bit of distribution. Okay, so like they said, you're bringing in a number from the outside and you're going to multiply it by the numbers that are inside. So I'm going to show you here that minus belongs to the 6, so that's why I'm writing, let me correct that, minus 6. And the result is, well, 2 times x is just 2x. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, so I'm going to put a minus sign in between 12. That's how the distributive property works. You bring a number from the outside of the parentheses, and you're going to multiply it with the terms that are inside of the parentheses. So this is saying negative 10 times the first term, negative 10 times the second term. So what's happening is negative 10 times 5, well, that's negative 50. Negative 10 times 3c, well, negative 10 times 3 is negative 30. But don't forget that c. It stays there and it gets attached to the 30. That's how distributive works. So with that being said, let's now use distributive property to solve these equations for the indicated variable. So the first thing I'm going to do is I see an equal sign, so I immediately want to draw a line. I'm going to look at my problem and I notice, hey, parentheses. There's a number outside of the parentheses. So we're going to multiply that number to each term that is inside of my parentheses. Okay. So we get 3x from that. 3 times 2 is 6, but we need to indicate that it's a positive 6 to separate these two, and that is equal to 36. What we have here is a 2-step equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the variable, get this variable by itself, by moving everything around it. Okay. Now remember, 2-step equations, we've been working with these. The first thing we're going to move is the 6th term. Why? Well, because this is a constant term, this is a constant term, They're both like terms, so they need to go on the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to move the 6. And why the 6? How come we can't move the 36 over here? Well, we need to move the 6 away from x. So we move the 6. Now this is a plus 6. That means we got to subtract 6. Okay. When we subtract 6, what's going to happen is it cancels out, 0 pair. I don't have to put the 0. It's gone. Bring down the 3 with the x, bring down the equal sign, and calculate this math. 36 minus 6, 30. The next thing we got to do is get rid of this 3 over here, because again, we're trying to isolate the x, get this x by itself. So we're going to have to move the 3 by dividing, because 3 is multiplying the x, so we got to divide. Finally, we get that our answer is 10. Okay. I'm going to move on to another one. In this problem, it looks a little different. There's still parentheses, but guess what? Now the 4 is back here. Doesn't matter. You still distribute. You still multiply. So I'm going to multiply 4 with farther away with the 5. If that's confusing, what you could do is, how about we write the 4 here in the front and ignore it back there? You could do that. So I'll go ahead and do that. And what's happening is we are multiplying the number from the outside to every term that is inside. Okay. So here we have 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times c is just 4c, and it's a positive 4c. And I forgot to bring down my line, which means I gotta keep going with the equal sign and bring down the minus 16. Okay. Our goal is to isolate the variable, get this variable by itself. So we gotta move these two things in a specific order. First thing we move is this constant, because there's another constant over here. So those two are like terms. So I'm going to throw that one to join the negative 16. This 20, if we don't see anything here, it's indicated that it's adding a 20. So the inverse is to subtract a 20. Subtracting 20, next step, cancels out, 0 pair. So we bring down the 4, we bring down the c, we bring down the equal sign, and we do the math for those two. Negative 16 minus 20, negative 36. The last step is detach the 4 away from c. So 4 is multiplying, and the inverse is to divide. So by dividing, we get that our answer is negative 9. Another example. These problems are starting to gradually get a little bit bigger and bigger. So, first thing I'm going to do is, here's my parentheses. This is going to get multiplied with that. So 1/2 times negative 18u, and it's going to get multiplied with that. 1/2 times 42. Now some of you are starting to see that I don't have to write this step, and you're right, you don't. What you do have to write is the following step. First I want to do is draw the equal sign line all the way down. This here, 12 times negative 18, so half of 18 is 9, but don't forget the negative, and don't forget the u. There is an equal sign here that needs to be brought down, and there is a 5u over here that needs to be brought down. 1/2 times 42. Well, half of 42 is 21, and it's positive, so positive 21. Okay, so what to do next? In this scenario, in this problem here, we have u terms on both sides of the equal sign. There's a u here, there's a u here. They're both on different sides of the line. We want them on the same side. So either we're going to move the 9 over or we're going to move the 5 over. Best thing to do is move this over there to balance things out. And we're going to add the 9u because it's currently subtracting. So plus 9u plus 9u. Next thing we're going to do is this gets cancelled, equals 5 plus 9 is 14. Don't forget the u. This got cancelled out, so we bring down the 21. Next thing we do is, here is a variable. We need to get rid of the 14. 14 is multiplying, so to get rid of it, we need to divide. So fraction bar, divide. When we divide, we get that u is 3 over 2, or if you're using your cell phone, you might get 1.5, and that is correct. Okay. Next one. This problem is starting to look a little different. Okay. If you notice, there's parentheses on both sides. So that means we're going to have to multiply on both sides. This parentheses has a negative 3, which means multiply the negative 3 times y, and multiply the negative 3 times the negative 8. On this side, we have 2 times 12, and we have 2 times negative y. Okay, so I'm going to do all this multiplication already. So negative 3 times y, right here, we get negative 3y. Negative 3 times negative 8, right here, we get positive 24. And don't forget that equal sign, because that helps us know what to move where. Next parentheses, next distribution is 2 times 12, right here, is 24. And then we have 2 times negative y, right here. And this y happens to have a 1. So 2 times negative 1 is a negative 2. Keep the y. So this problem looks similar to the ones from the previous video, where we have variables on both sides of our equal sign. No problem. Get them together. We want to join them. So it doesn't matter if I'm going to move this negative 3 over or if I move this negative 2 over. Usually we like to keep the letter on the left hand side, so why not move this to the left? Right now this is a minus 2y. So to move it over, we need a plus 2y. So we move it over, and we get negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Keep the y. Bring the 24 down, so plus 24 equals another 24, and this canceled out. So it's just 0. Okay. Next thing is, okay, we are solving for x. We're trying to isolate, we're solving for y. So, constant, constant, they belong together. So push this one away from the y, which is what we have to do. Opposite of plus is minus. So minus 24 minus 24. It cancels. So in our next step, we bring down the minus 1y equals 24 minus 24, 0. Last step, we gotta get rid of that negative 1. That is multiplying the y, so we're gonna divide by negative 1. And we get that our answer, y, is a 0. Okay. Next example. Again, we have two sets of parentheses. So I'm going to skip a couple of steps, the beginning step, and I'm already going to apply the multiplication. So distribution means 4 times m, which gives me 4m. Then we have 4 times 5, which gives me a positive 20. Immediately, here's my equal sign, so draw the line. Then we have, again, distribution. 2 times 2m, well, 2 times 2 is 4. Keep the m. 2 times 9, 18, and it's positive, so plus 18. Okay, not bad. Then we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. We want them together, so we're going to push this one over here. Right now this 4 is indicating that it's positive, so to move it over, we're going to subtract the term. So minus 4m, minus 4m, and it cancels there because we're moving it away. Okay, so next thing we want to do is rewrite this mess. Negative 4m minus 4m. We have 4m minus 4m. That's just a 0. Bring this down. 20 equals, again, that canceled out is 0. So bring down the 18. What happened to our m? It canceled. The m's canceled. No more m's. All we have is a statement that says 20 is the same thing as 18. Well, that's false. 20 is not the same thing as 18. So when we get a statement, a false statement, our answer is no solution. There's no way that's true. So this problem didn't work out for us. No solution. Why? Because our m's canceled out, and we had a statement that was false. Next problem here. Again, I'm going to skip the step where I'm showing you how to distribute what gets multiplied, and I'm going to multiply in my head already. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is 3, and it's a positive 3. Okay. Bring down the line, and everything else, copy it. Now you're kind of noticing, well, this is the same thing as that. Okay. If you notice that, good. Again, x term, I want those two together, so I'm going to push this to the left. This term is adding, so I need to do the inverse. Subtract. And this is gone. So I'm going to rewrite this mess. And we get that 3x minus 3x, well, that's 0. Bring down the plus 3 and bring down this 3. Well, if my letters canceled, again, I have a statement. This statement is saying that 3 is 3. Well, that's true. 3 is the same thing as 3. When this happens, we have something called infinitely many solutions. So this scenario will occur when your two variables cancel, like it did here, and it gave us a 0. So now we have a statement that after we simplify, it happens to be a true statement. Therefore, our answer is infinitely many solutions. I hope this video helps you.